I know. As real estate agents, we want the modern, cutting edge technology that's giving us the leads, coming in, using tech, using computers, using AI, all of the things. But I'm here to tell you the fastest way to convert leads into conversations, into real estate success is the traditional lead methods, and they still work. They're still tried and true. That is why in my course, I absolutely included a traditional or active pillar so that you as an agent can put yourself into the fold and have real estate conversations and better your real estate vernacular and your scripting as you go, and probably close deals faster with these traditional methods, looking at them a little bit differently. So stay tuned. We're going to dive into all of that and more. What's up, guys? Jeremy Kane, Real Estate Agent Playbook, and the creator of the Foundations Builder course. If you have not checked out the course that will take you through creating your 4 pillars, please comment below Foundations course, and I will certainly get that information to you. I am super excited to release that, and I believe agents will be able to take the next step in their career, whether that's the first step or they've been in the business for 10 years. That's exactly what I am so excited to pass along to you, agents within my community. While you're here, please like, comment, subscribe. I absolutely put out free content on building a real estate business practically while I am still in it. There are a lot of coaches out there that are not still selling homes actively. That's not the case with me. I'm here to help you. I'm in the fight, but I also want to see you build and absolutely crush the game. That's why I created the course. That's why I do the YouTube. That's why I'm on podcasts. So wherever you're at, throw me some love and we'll get rolling. So when we talk about active real estate marketing, I have to step back and tell people that everything works. This is something I say on this channel often, and everything does work if you put the right, dedicated, consistent effort to it, and you stay consistent and you are unrelenting, right? You can look back and measure and manage and change, but we must stay the course for any lead generation source to work, whether it's social media, YouTube, like this one, or completely old school, open houses or door knocking or cold calling. Whatever that is, consistent effort will get us there. So let's talk about the traditional lead generation pillars that we dive into, right? We have direct mail. This is obviously something that is long-term. You have to consistently hit the same people. You have to provide as much value as you possibly can. You have a split second while people are going through their mail, deciding if it's junk or not. We get so much mail these days that's super important. Have an item of value, have it stand out, have it on brand, and it should be okay. But it has to come month after month after month and continue to build that, right? Next, we have cold calling. Okay, this is something that you absolutely have to do, right? If you are cold calling and that's your chosen pillar, you have to do the calls, right? You have to look at your numbers, you have to look at your conversions, you have to look at your conversations, you have to look at your appointment set, and you have to look at, actual homes that hit the market or buyers that you actually help buy. And so you have to do that, but you have to start consistently. Next, you have door knocking, right? You have to hit doors, you have to have that item of value, and this all kind of comes together under a farming kind of aspect, which is also another one of the pillars and the accelerators I have in my course. But those are really the tried and true traditional sales methods. Next is open houses. Open houses is unique to the real estate industry, right? A lot of people do cold calling and door knocking. Open houses is real estate specific and usually the one that people are most comfortable doing because you're in your domain. You're in a home that's on the market and you're able to talk to people who are walking in, usually with more intent than just, blind firing off calls or door knocks, but they all work, right? But it's still consistent. If you're doing 2 open houses a month, you're probably not going to see great success. You're probably not going to advance your skills as fast as someone who's doing, 8 in a weekend like somebody in the Wolfpack does, or at least 2 or 3 a weekend and kind of expanding that and having that your work time, your prospecting time on the weekends, non-negotiable, ready to go, right? And then you have geo-farming. I honestly believe that geo-farming is a collection of all of these. If you are farming a neighborhood, you need to hold every open house you possibly can in that neighborhood. You need to door knock that neighborhood. You need to cold call that neighborhood. You need to direct mail that neighborhood. If you can really put it all together and create a farming piece, this is something where it can truly be a pillar of your business and you can take over whatever neighborhood you want. the honest truth is no one is farming a neighborhood doing all of these things. And so that opportunity is yours absolutely to take over a neighborhood. The beauty of these traditional methods is a lot of them are tailored towards homeowners already with cold calling and door knocking, but open houses can also be tweaked to bring in sellers and so on. And I talk about all of these things in my webinar that's absolutely free. Check the link below in the comment section to sign up for that webinar. We're continuing to put these out. We're doing them live right now. Buyer's agent to listing agent in 30 days. So we'll talk about how to, tweak these into being seller focused lead generation. So why are all of these, traditional, and why do they work? And why do they accelerate, right? Because each one of these allows you to have real estate specific conversations. Cold calling, door knocking, you're kind of controlling the conversation once you get into your script, and you can have real estate conversations. What happens with real estate conversations? People ask questions. You're going to find the top 20 questions or top 5 questions that everyone's asking, right? And so you can continue to develop and earn your craft and do your research and make sure you're better, right? You're not going to be perfect the first time someone throws a question at you, but have a knowledge of the market and be able to do what you can do to answer that question. And the number one truth to all of this is if you get asked a question you don't know the answer to, just be honest and say, that's a great question. I've never been asked that. I'm going to go find the answer for you and I will return with that answer, right? Boom, follow up, easy. So sometimes we feel like we have to know the answers to everything before we knock on that door, before we pick up that phone. The truth is you're not going to have the answers to everything ever. But if you can continue to develop this and you continue to talk about this, eventually you'll have true real estate conversations. And then what comes up are the objections, right? There are very few objections that actually come across, and this is the number one reason we fear doing these things, because what happens if we get this objection and we can't handle it? The truth is you have to stay in the fight. You have to do it, right? You have to practice. Even if you have the perfect script for the objection that I'm not ready to sell my house, and you have to come up with something, at least you get the practice, you get the reps. If you have the perfect script for that question and it's asked the very first time, you're probably going to fumble over your words and you're not going to be great at it. But repetition after repetition matters, and eventually you'll be able to handle these like a pro, and you'll be turning these conversations into bona fide clients every time you do it because you're so consistent. So getting in the fight, having these conversations, real estate specific, is just a byproduct of doing this active lead generation, this traditional lead generation. This is where you have the most conversations that are real estate centric. Okay, sphere of influence, industry partners, all of that. That's going to be a different kind of conversation as you go, but this is direct. Hey, I'm knocking on your door because I'm a real estate agent and I want to be of value to you. What can I do? What questions do you have? How can I help you? Right? And that's obviously not the script, but if you go with that mindset of how can you help them instead of how can I sell your house, I think that's where things really can change. You're going to have these conversations. You're going to get really good at your scripts and what you're doing. And then we need to dial it in, right? Once we're out there practicing, we're getting the reps in. Consistency is absolutely what matters, right? Depending on what you're targeting, if you're targeting FSBOs or expireds or geo, targeting whatever you're doing, you need to be able to get these reps in, right? So if you're doing expireds, maybe you're hitting them once a week on Tuesdays or whatever. You check the MLS and you pull those expireds, and maybe you're going to go door knock them, right? But you do it every single Tuesday, right? Like clockwork, you're going to make sure that every expired that comes on in a certain area, you are at least doing something, right? And sometimes expireds, you may not want to be in the initial rush, right? There's hundreds of people that sit around and call on expireds, and that's easy. And they're on RedX and they're on all the lists that you can get. Maybe you want to be a little bit later. Maybe you do want to be the first. Maybe it is speed to lead in your market, but you need to do the practice so you can actually, understand where the best timing falls, right? I've heard it both ways. I've heard right away and I've heard wait 3 months. So you're the only one out there. You're not, going to be competing. Eventually people just turn off their phone and shut their blinds for a couple weeks, because as agents, we've been taught, right? These traditional methods, there's a lot of people, looking for expireds or FSBOs or whatever, and you do want to separate yourself. So if your skills aren't absolutely top of the line, maybe you're waiting, right? Making sure that the house is expired. Make sure you follow your MLS and realtor board and commission laws as far as withdrawn, expired, released, all of those things. They're all different. So make sure you're not like, oh, I watched this YouTube video and Jeremy said to call, withdrawns. That's not the case. In Colorado, in our MLS in Denver, withdrawn is still under contract with an exclusive agent. Expired is when that contract is up and they're released. So it's different everywhere though. So don't take my terminology. That's just how it is in Denver. But then it's a volume mindset. It's how many people can I have these conversations with, right? If I'm door knocking, I'm still door knocking the whole neighborhood, but if I know it's an expired, I might have a different script with that expired. Just pay attention to what's going on. Utilize your resources within the MLS to make sure that you're doing what you need to do. And then success happens, right? When you do have success, look at exactly how that played out. What time you called, what time did you door knock? Was it an open house? How did you, get in? Because if you look back and you review your success stories, then you can start to gain momentum, right? And there certainly are one-offs, right? That, it's just random, the stars align that day. But most of the time, it's exactly what mood you were in, how you did it, what time you did it, and how you, handled the objections or lack thereof. And so make sure that you are taking every conversation. That's at first just the conversations without, I'm not interested, door slam, right? How are you getting to the next question? How are you getting to engaging that conversation a little more and a little more? And all of a sudden, how are you taking that conversation to a relationship, to, hopefully eventually a transaction? And that's the piece, is we have to look at how we've been successful. When I have new agents that I talk to on realtor game plan calls, link in the comments below, I'm always like, okay, how did you get your last deals? How, when you were crushing it back 2 years ago, were you getting your deals? Because if we can just dive into that and tweak and change some stuff, usually just stay consistent, we can continue to build that business and build that business as we go. The next piece about these, which I talked about a little bit in farming, is they are all cross-related, right? If you're doing open houses, door knock a few houses around each side, right? Drop a, slide aisle voicemail to the community. Send emails. Like, you can really cross-collaborate all of these, right? If you're cold calling, maybe you try and get an open house in there, and you can say, hey, I'm hosting this open house. I'd love to invite everybody in the neighborhood for an exclusive 1 hour before. So you can cross these over, and that's the beauty of these traditional deals, is the scripting should be very similar, right? It's door, cold calling, open houses, all of that, right? It's asking for the business, asking for the trust. All of the asks are a little bit scary to us when we first start, but if you're not asking for the business, you're not going to do it. So you must go for the close, and you must try different things in different neighborhoods and see how it's accepted. And again, look back at your statistics and how it's going, and measure what gets managed, and change and tweak until you find your groove. And then your groove is just rinse and repeat, right? Rinse and repeat, look back, see if you need to adjust and tweak, but that's absolutely how it goes. But the beauty of all of these is that they are cross reference. So you very well could do open houses, but let's door knock and let's do a call, right? Or you could be cold calling, talking about an open house, or you could be, farming and kind of crossing them all in, or taking two of those, traditional strategies. If you're farming, I would definitely say obviously within your budget, but make sure you are doing as much as you can. With direct mail, you obviously have a budget there, 50 cents for the stamp right now already. And then you have obviously the materials you're sending out. Door knocking, maybe you're hanging door hangers. The brand absolutely matters. But if you are able to cross a couple over, and then you're pulling in from your passive strategy, right? Driving people to your YouTube channel or your Facebook page or Instagram, whatever you're focusing on. And that's how the course is designed, right? You have these pillars of business. It's a choose your own adventure. Every single thing I've talked about here, I have a 12-week accelerator for you to plug into. You pick one and you go dial it in. You get consistent. You build your, plan, right? Build it toward your personality, kind of have your ideas and how you want to do it, and then follow the KPIs, right? Hold the open houses when it says to hold the open houses. Hit those call numbers every single week that are in the KPIs within those 12-week accelerators. And there's absolutely no way you won't have a quarter behind you, 12 weeks, and look back and be like, okay, like I could get on board with this. Now I'm past the uncomfortable. Now I can scale this and go. And that's exactly what I want for you, is an organized, non-shiny object syndrome approach to your business. And right now is such an opportunity, as there's so many, things changing and stuff. Everything's new to a lot of agents, even the experienced ones. So dive in right now. And if you're interested, webinar, link below, comment Foundations course in the comments. But I am super excited to connect with you. And as always, if you're interested in a realtor game plan call just to talk about your business, 30 minutes, we can help you kind of get unstuck. That's available too. But just bringing you value, helping you get wins every single day in the game of real estate. And don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and we'll see you on the next one.